So should libraries be kept open as a community resource? I'm joined now by Francesca Simon, the best-selling children's author of the Horrid Henry series, and Kate Andrews from the Institute of Economic Affairs. Francesca first, and just to declare an interest, the Carnegie is my local library, but why did you cross the river to defend it?
Crossing the river, indeed. Well, I feel really passionately about libraries. I think they are the hub of any community. It was fascinating just standing out there for 2 hours. The number of people who came from all walks of life to offer food and blankets and say, well done, and cars honking. Because the point is that libraries are their primary purpose, of course, is for books. But they provide a place for all members of the community. I mean, I was in my local library with my son at least twice a week. There are play groups there, there's story time. They're wonderful for elderly people, for unemployed people. So it's one of the only community services, I think, that's used by the entire community.
Kate Andrews, this unites people, and we need that in this day and age, don't we?
Well, some people are using it, but the problem, of course, is that most people in the community aren't using libraries anymore. What we see from the figures are that fewer and fewer people are going to the library every year, and the ones that are going are not even taking out books. That number is negligible compared to people even walking in. And that tells us that people are choosing to access their knowledge in different places. This is actually a wonderful thing. The fact that you and I can get information on our phone and our computers now is a wonderful luxury. It doesn't mean there's not a place for libraries, but they have to modernize because people don't want to use them for the same
libraries
reasons.
are modern. I mean, all libraries have computers, but I think you're completely...
But that's not where people want to be using the computer. They want to use it at home.
You're completely wrong about why people use libraries. You think that you're going into a library to access something very specific. Libraries are places that you browse. Libraries are places where you discover things you didn't even know you were looking for. And children do not read books on Kindle. I've just got my royalty statements. I would say for the last 5 or 6 years, under 5% of all my royalties are for ebooks, downloads. The vast majority is always from books. Now, I am a big best-selling author for ages 5 to 8. Those groups do not access books in that way.
And Kate, not everybody has a computer at home.
That's true, and that's the point I really want to talk about this evening, is that while we're talking about the benefits of public libraries, there's still 6 million homes in the UK that don't have access to the internet, and I think that it's really unfair to be talking about putting this full budget of £1 billion a year to libraries when we could be using that budget so much more efficiently to get people access to information in their own homes.
But you keep saying access to information. I'm talking about books, about reading, about developing literacy. 1 in 3 households in the United Kingdom do not have any books in them. And the way that disadvantages children is absolutely
Nobody
shocking.
here tonight is arguing that libraries and schools should be closed, and I'm not arguing
Most
that
many schools don't even have libraries.
Well, I'm not even arguing that all public libraries should be closed. My point is that when you have cut £4 billion from disability benefits, and 1/4 of that is currently going to the library budget, I think you have to look at those numbers and prioritize. My public library at home.
You could also say build fewer Trident submarines.
Sure, there are lots of places you could bring it from, but we have to be honest about these numbers. And I'd also like to point out that
it's a complete red herring to talk about, you could take money from here, take money from there. You're talking about something that's absolutely...
We're talking about...
Closing libraries is a crime against children. That is absolutely what it is.
We're talking about an industry that fewer and fewer people are... I'm not telling... I'm not wrong. The Department of Culture, Media and Sport has been tracking this, and fewer people every year wanting to access this.
400 libraries have closed in the last 6 years.
But hang on a sec. Nearly 60% of people in England don't go. That's not just accounted
for by
the fact that libraries have closed.
And most of them aren't
let Francesca answer this point.
No, but the point is the key people who use libraries, the most important people who use libraries are children. And the kind of services that libraries provide, librarians offer playgroups, they offer story time. A lot of children go to school, they don't even know which way you hold a book.
Your point about community is incredibly important, and my public library back at home does receive a public grant, but so much of the money comes from the private sphere, people in the community donating to the library, and loads of people volunteer. When you have a sector that fewer and fewer people want to use, but might might still be beneficial to the community. The most important thing to do is preserve it by modernizing it, bringing in the private sector.
Libraries are modern. I've never walked into a library that doesn't have loads of computers.
But that's not where people want to use the computers.
Isn't that what Lambeth is trying to do with the Carnegie? They would say they've got a gym, they've got a bit of exercise there, they've got computers.
What they don't have is a librarian, and the whole point of having a trained librarian is...
It's amazing to me that we are rejecting amazing technology that has made knowledge accessible.
This is not about rejecting technology.
No, it really
it's about
is.
books and reading.
In 2016, it is wonderful that we are able to automate these services and make things cheaper for people.
I'm afraid we're going to have to continue this discussion in the green room, but Francesca Simon and Kate Andrews, thank you very much for joining us.